The story, I believe that came from the legendary Pete Carrillo. Is that right?
Yes.
The Hall of Famer who Joe got to both play for and coach with. So I'm Erik Johnson. I'm the women's basketball coach here, and I'm not quite as good as that funny stories and some of these other things. In fact, sometimes I walk around the fourth floor up here, and obviously, Coach Scott's been a great mentor to me and my staff, and just watching what they've been able to develop and his history even at other institutions. In my office suite, I've got George Wozniacki, who's won 2 national championships. I walk around the corner, there's Bill Tierney, who's got 6 national championships. And I started asking my staff, I'm like, guys, what are we doing here? We need to step up, and we're trying really, really hard. And I think things have gone pretty well. Just to start about a few things about being at DU. And first of all, it's really fun to hear Coach Scott talking about in men's basketball often, and what he fights against is there's a sense of entitlement with a lot of men's basketball players. And the fact that he's been able to build a program here where you hear that kind of, they appreciate the university, they're part of the university community, they understand who they are, what they're representing, is really, really, I enjoy the fact that our players and the men's players are friends and they support each other and all that, because I think they're great role models for our guys. I think our guys can help you build great role models for them. We just recently did a mission statement exercise with our team. And it was really interesting to hear. In fact, I shared this with some of my bosses who are back here in the back of the room. We're still sort of putting it together to make a women's basketball mission statement. And as you guys know who've done something like this in your organizations, it's much more about the process and thinking about why we're here, what we do, than it is actually what we come up with. But the list of responses from sort of their individual things, it was really neat to see some common themes. We, the women's basketball players at the University of Denver, appreciate the opportunity we've been given. I heard that time and time again. We appreciate the fact that we get to be part of something special, something bigger than us. We recognize our role in the university mission. And look, as Coach Scott said, it's not like this is the first thing that they've ever thought of. They've heard this from us. They've heard this from the University of Denver, that our professors, our faculty, our administration talks all the time about this. But this wasn't force-fed on them. That now that we're in our 4th season, this is what I'm getting back from my players when I'm asking them, why are we here? Why are we doing this? What's our mission? Are we just showing up because you've got a scholarship, because you want to play some basketball, or are we really doing something special here? Are we really representing something bigger than ourselves? And it was really, really rewarding to see those kinds of responses. And so, again, I echo some of the sentiments that Joe gave. It's really, really nice to be part of something that's bigger than us, and to have players that recognize that they're part of something, and that they recognize that they're true student athletes. The Women's Basketball Coaches Association actually does a GPA ranking, Joe. Maybe the NABC should jump on that.
That's between men's and women's basketball.
Apparently, right? So, and one thing we're extremely proud of, before I even get into the basketball stuff, is our team has been ranked in the top 25 in the nation for team GPA the last 2 years in a row. And that's been a huge source of pride for us. Obviously, we send out recruiting letters with that kind of information on it. We talk to parents about that. And we want people who want to come to the University of Denver when we recruit. That's what attracts them. Wait a second. There's only a few places in the nation where you can really have the best of both worlds. And this is honestly, I'm giving you guys my recruiting speech. This is what we sell. You don't have to pick. It's not mutually exclusive that we're either going to be really good at sports or we're going to be really good in the classroom. That at the University of Denver, the chancellor, the board of trustees, the faculty, the administration here in athletics, the coaches, the players believe that we can be great at both. And I think that is a rare thing. I really do. And I think that's why our staff, it feels so lucky to be in a place like this, is now we get to coach student athletes that want the best of both worlds. They want to be really, really good at basketball and play in the NCAA tournament and play against the best teams in the country and beat them. They also want to be doctors and lawyers and engineers, and they want to have the top GPA in the conference. Our team has a great sense of pride. We go to the Sun Belt tournament, which we only get to do one more year now before we move into the WAC. The Sun Belt tournament has a tradition where they recognize the student athletes of each game before their first game. And so, we'll be playing North Texas or something, and a couple of their kids will get to go out because they got a 3.0 or whatever. Our entire team marches out there, and the same thing. And the men's program is exactly the same. I've been at the men's games with the exact same, and everybody in the stands is kind of chuckling or whatever. Well, that's something that's really important to us. And I know it's important to Peg and Pam and Dan and Ron, our bosses that are back here. That hey, we're doing it right. We're doing it well across the board. And we don't have to be a bad student to be a good basketball player. In fact, what we find is the ones who actually, when they really, really get it in the classroom, when they really, really get it in their lives, their time management, how they sleep, how they eat, suddenly they become pretty good basketball players. And suddenly they're running the plays the way I want them run. And suddenly they're actually working after practice to work on their footwork so they're not traveling. And they're asking good questions about, well, wait a second, how should I, if they play me like this, coach, what should I do? Maybe I should, here's a good idea, right? And suddenly you get progress reports back from their professor. That kid's asking really good questions in class. And she's really being proactive and coming to me after class and saying, well, how can I improve my quiz grade that I wasn't happy with? It's amazing how these things connect, and so it's fun to be part of something great. So again, thank you so much for all of your efforts in making it such a special place. Again, just a little bit history of our team and kind of where we've come and where we're going. This is our 4th year as a coaching staff. Our first year, I don't think anybody expected much out of us, and we ended up winning one more game. Then we lost, so we went 16-15, which I thought was much better than I feared it was going to be. The next year, even though we had a very, very thin bench, we went 18-13. Last year, we made another benchmark and went 19-12 with the toughest schedule we've ever played, and went to the women's NIT, which again we thought we could be an NCAA team. We got upset in the conference tournament. We were right there knocking on the door, but the postseason committees recognized the fact that we had played a tough schedule. We had beaten the University of Colorado. We had beaten Vanderbilt, which was the first win over a ranked opponent in program history. And that was a really, really big win. We've continued to schedule those same teams. And so you heard Coach Scott talking about how important it is when you're building a program and you want to get to that next level. Well, you got to go play with the big kids, and you got to go show that you can compete with them, and then you got to go beat them. So the fact that we've been able to talk about, hey, we beat CU, we beat Vanderbilt, and then we were able to played Oregon on the road tough. And so this year we've got those same two teams. We've got to go back to CU and back to Vanderbilt. They'll be real happy to see us coming. We've got the University of Minnesota coming here. We've got Oregon coming here. For those of you who remember Loyola Marymount in the late 80s with Paul Westhead just running up and down the court scoring 120 points. Well, he was doing that in the WNBA for a little while with Diana Taurasi in Phoenix, and now he's doing it with the University of Oregon women's basketball team. So anyway, I want to see if they can do that at altitude. I'll be real interested to see how 5280 affects their ability, because we like to play fast too. But obviously slowing them down defensively is going to be a really big key. We're continuing to play all of the in-state rivals, including Wyoming. I throw Wyoming in there because there's only a few places that we can go on a bus ride, but we made it a point of continuing to schedule CU, CSU, Northern Colorado Air Force, and Wyoming. And so one of these years, I keep saying we're gonna run the table. We're going to beat all of them. Because when I got hired, one of the things that the administration kept saying is we want to be the best basketball program, men's and women's, in the Rocky Mountain region. Well, I want to sweep that. I want to sweep that thing this year, so we can say, hey, there's no question, that's us. So again, a little bit about our team. We're young. All right. So unfortunately, Coach Scott talking about returning all his players. Right. Well, we lost 2,000-point scorers off last year's team. This year's team has 1 senior, 2 juniors, and the rest of the team is freshmen and sophomores. So you say, wow, Coach, rebuilding year. Well, it's not quite as bad as you think. The 1 senior is named Caitlin Murdoch. And for anybody who's been following our program, Caitlin Murdoch is the preseason player of the year in our conference. She was one of the top 5 in the nation in field goal percentage the last 2 years. She's led the league in block shots every year. Even though she's only 5'11", she's got a 6'3" wingspan. She catches everything and never misses. So she's a pretty special player. She makes everybody else look good. We've got some freshman guards that, again, all they got to do is throw it near her, and she goes and catches it and finds a way to put it in the basket. Everybody says, hey, Coach, you grew up a great play, and guarded me through a great pass. So it's nice to have great players. One of those juniors is named Emmy Smith, who, even though she's this tall and doesn't look much like a basketball player, is the best point guard in the conference. She truly makes me look like I know what I'm doing out there. Every play works when you've got a point guard who knows how to get the ball from here to there and deliver it to exactly the right place. Emmy's your favorite player, right, Coach? Joe? Emmy's, right? Every time he comes by me, he's like, that kid knows what she's doing, right? Yeah, exactly. Coach, have a good practice. So again, Emmy is absolutely the most fun to watch for those of you guys who watch our game. To watch somebody who's that little and just absolutely just tearing people apart. She's going to need to score a lot more for us this year as well. She's been one of the leading assist makers in the nation. She just got named 3rd team all-conference this year by her peers, which is great. And then Quincy Noonan, who started every game last year as a freshman, was the Gatorade Youth Player of the Year in the state of Colorado. And so again, you hear about the best players in Colorado are ending up at the University of Denver. That's a pretty cool thing. Quincy's going to be one of the best players in our conference. She had to sort of sit behind those 3,000-point scorers last year. She was on the court, but we weren't running plays for her, and she wasn't as featured in our offense. So she's going to have to take a big step forward. And then we've got a group of exciting young talent. So I think you guys will really enjoy our freshmen. We've got a couple freshman guards you're going to see on the court a ton, because they have to be. Whether they're ready or not, they're going to be playing. Because we're young, I have no choices. And so that's been really, really fun to sort of just, hey guys, you know what, get out there and play. We're going to try to teach you the best we can. But you know what, we're going to live and die with some of these young players, which will make things exciting. I can't always promise we will be the perfect, most disciplined team, but guess what, it'll be interesting. I guarantee that much. We will be fun to watch. Our team is exciting. I think what stands out, you guys have probably heard, if anybody's heard me speak before, what makes our team special is how well they share the basketball. This team moves the ball, creates shots for others better than anybody that you're going to see us in field goal percentage. And again, it's not because we got the best shooters in the world, although I think they're good. It's because every shot we take is somebody else created it for me. Someone else got me a really good shot, and all I got to do is step in, put the ball in the basket, step in, go finish a layup. And so I think you'll really appreciate watching our team, and I encourage you to come out and hopefully enjoy that piece of it that the post players pass to the guards. The guards pass the post, and there's a ton of driving and kicking to somebody else. When people try to zone us and double us and do all these things, we just pick them apart. Our team really passes the basketball well, finds each other, and that makes it really fun to watch, really fun to coach, and it's what's been able to make us successful. So, again, thank you guys so much for your support. Thanks for listening. I'm glad everybody just didn't get up and leave after Joe. You know, I don't have nearly as good a stories, although if I keep coming to these things, I'm going to be able to tell the non-conforming sparrow story pretty well one of these times. I have heard Joe tell that a couple of times. But again, thank you guys so much for everything.